Thanks for tuning in. Here's your host, Landon Barrowman.
Hello, welcome to the second episode of the Midnight Tonight Show. Tonight we got Mike Danyluk, a local guitar legend and connoisseur from Mongo Doom and the old B-Movies band, and Groovy Rookers, as well as Kevin Martin from The Lobby promoting his new movie, The Last Video Store. So without further ado, here is the Midnight Tonight Show.
Welcome to the Midnight Tonight Show. Tonight we speak to Whyte Avenue's Lobby DVD shop owner and star of The Last Video Store, Kevin Martin. But first, sound engineer and local musician extraordinaire Mike Danyluk. Here's your host, Landon Barrowman.
Midnight Tonight Show. Tonight we have Mike Danyluk, my guest to my right.
There it is.
How's it going, brother?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. A little sweaty in the new year. Yeah. I've been working out a little bit. You've been working out?
No, I only work out at work.
Oh, well, I don't work, so I have to work out.
I work in a factory all day.
Nice.
So.
Oh, yeah, that'll work you out.
It works.
You're like the Industrial Revolution workout. That's why you've got that body. You got that chimney sweep body that only people from the Industrial Revolution had. That's good.
I do work in textiles.
So you got a lot of those nice fumes. You know, people have to pay for those fumes these days.
Oh, yeah.
So you are, if nobody knows, I mean, everybody should know who you are. You are the musician about town.
I'm a musician about town. I mean, there's lots of musicians in this town.
Yeah, and you know all of them because you've been in every single band.
Well, I've been playing in bands for, 20 plus years. You're going to know some people.
And that would make you somewhat of a connoisseur. In my world, that would make you a connoisseur of like the Edmonton music scene. I mean, you've been playing in bands since you were how old?
15.
15 in Edmonton.
Yeah.
So that goes back
41
to, what would 41? Do some math for me. There we go.
I started going to shows and formed my first band.
The 98.
Yeah.
So what could you say about the scene in 98? Do you remember much of it, or were you?
Yeah, there was crazy hall shows where, it'd be packed with kids with spiked hair and jumping off the walls. And they even had hall shows where there'd be like a licensed area. They'd sell beer and
then another area where kids could go.
Yeah. And kids would be in the rest of the hall. Like
that's the X's on the hands. And
right. Yeah. Exactly. They would
straight edge kids
X's on your hands.
Well, they weren't straight edge. They were just underage.
I think my first show I saw DOA at Eastwood Hall.
That's nuts.
And I only got to see 2 songs from DOA because it was like a 6-hour show. And my dad came and picked me up and was like, it's time to go. That is
a classic punk rock story. Only got to see 2 DOA songs. So that's like prime SNFU era too?
Yeah, actually, there was an SNFU show the day before I started grade 10. And my friends got to go and I didn't get to go.
Oh, wow.
So I missed out. I didn't actually see SNFU until 2005.
Jesus. You had to wait. Trying to do math, 7 years. That's crazy. So what was the first band you were in? What did you remember your first band when you were a kid?
My very first band, it was called Blorch.
Blorch.
We were like an alternative band.
That's better than mine. I think I was in a band called Chalk Outline, and we thought it was the coolest. We
Everybody's
were like 14.
first high school band. Classic.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So now you're doing tons of different shit. You're punks, synths. You're playing music on Game Boys. What the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah,
pick something.
I've always kind of been into synthesizers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not so much when I was a kid because in the late 90s, there was nothing more uncool than the sound of a synthesizer.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wanted to hear that. It was loud guitars. And I was learning to play guitar. That was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always there. My dad used to listen to weird like 70s synthesizer music like Jean-Michel Jarre and stuff like that. And, and you grow up with like your Nintendos and 80s horror movies and
that 8-bit shit,
all that kind of stuff. So, and then when I went to college, I also at Grant MacEwan got to use some like old analog synthesizers from the 60s, and they like blew my mind. And
that's where the love started.
Yeah, that's kind of where it started. And then it wasn't until way later that I started getting my own stuff and
like I saw you,
and chiptunes did help, like Game Boys.
Yeah, that's what I was about to talk about because I saw you not long ago. Well, it actually probably was a long time ago, but you were playing a Game Boy. And like, it blew my fucking mind. I didn't even know people could play Game Boys as an instrument. So obviously there's like some coding and modding needed, but you're playing 8-bit music like on a Game Boy. Like, is that pre-programmed or
no?
How much of that is live?
You can program little sequences and you can trigger them live on the Game Boy, or with a little extra mod chip, you can play it with a MIDI keyboard. So it turns it into a whole instrument.
It's like mad scientist level insane. How does somebody even get into that?
There was a whole scene for it in the early 2000s when, you know, all that stuff was kind of in the scrap bins and the thrift stores. And these guys would, online, there was a community of people who were modding them and making music with them. And then people also do it with like Commodore 64s and old Atari computers and... That's basically 80s era 8-bit computers.
I remember hearing some of it because I had like some Offspring songs that were like converted to 8-bit.
You can go on YouTube and find like any song you like in 8-bit mode now. I mean, Green Day just released one of their songs on a Game Boy.
That's dope.
They did a bunch of weird formats.
They're trying to steal your grift, man. Fuck Green Day. Not officially. Not officially. But yeah, man. So how many bands are you in right now?
I think officially like 2 or 3.
That's low for you.
Yeah.
You are like a guitar lord.
I'm trying to get down to 1.
Yeah.
You know?
So who is it now? It's Mongo Doom. I saw you play at the Christmas
we played
Bonanza.
At the Starlight Yuletide Bonanza show.
Yeah, it was Yuletide Bonanza, yeah.
It was great.
It was fucking
That's
amazing.
Always a fantastic
I had not heard Mongo Doom, I don't think officially, at least sober. And I was still sober when I showed up, and I was blown away. I'm always blown away by your bands, but sometimes, you know, you think you're just gonna hear that like regular punk band. I was just blown away about how like, it reminded me of like so much, like Doom definitely, but it was like, you could tell that like there was some weed smoke in the garage there because like you had these riffs that went like these 25-minute long riffs.
Oh yeah, we dip into the stoner metal,
it was good.
Doom metal. I mean, like, if you've heard of Sleep, like
they that's exactly what I said.
Long,
they
right?
sound like Sleep. This riff is gonna just keep repeating for like the next 25 minutes.
You got to have the long riffs, and you got to go slow. I mean,
it was good.
You play enough punk, and you go faster and faster and faster, and then you're like, where do I go? Like, I don't want to be in a power violence band.
You have to go backwards.
You're like, let's go slow, low and slow.
You did it. You did it slow. So what does Mongo Doom got going on now? What's their next big project? Have you guys recorded some stuff? Or
well, we have like our first recording has been out on Bandcamp for a few years now. But we do want to get some new stuff out. We were kind of working on stuff a bit, but we got to probably redo it all. So our goal is to get a new recording out this year.
That's good. And what are you guys thinking? Like, are you going to do like physical media, or is it going to be basically just all digital media now?
We'll see what happens. I mean, well, of course it'll be digital at first, but physical media is a goal of ours. Yeah. But it's a whole logistical money thing.
Oh, I mean, 100%. I think that's kind of where it comes down to that whole thing with the local scene is like, you know, when you're in local bands and stuff like that, trying to get that physical media out there, someone's got to front that money. And that's the hard part. And speaking as a guy who's got like over 1,000 Whiskey Wagon albums sitting in my garage, if anybody wants any, you know, they make great coasters.
I got Perv CDs. Anybody want those?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just tons of stuff. Right. And you're like, why did I order 1,000? I didn't know how much 1,000 looks like.
That was like crazy. The cheapest option at the time for CDs. They're like, you get 1,000 or else you don't get any.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, you've got family and your shows and work and you're recording all the time, and you're a sound guy too. You work a lot of sound guys.
Yeah.
How do you find balance between everything, man? You're like the guy who's everywhere.
Oh, it's a tough game to balance sometimes.
Yeah.
You gotta, you know, I work during the day on the weekdays, and then you put family time most of the time, and then you have a rehearsal here, and I mostly work live sound here and there too. And
yeah. Were you doing that now? Because I remember way back, you were the guy at the studio. And like original OG studio, you were there at like the studio when it was a Bottle Depot on 95th Street.
Studio was like my first regular gig for sure. And
is that like where you cut your teeth?
Got a ton of opportunities there. Mostly, yeah. I mean, I did a lot of stuff beforehand that was just like one-offs at a lot of places, but that was the first place where long-term I did, you know, all the gigs there.
I think that's where I got to know you the most, was I'd go play a show somewhere and then you'd be the sound guy. And then I'd be like, oh, we got a show at Rendezvous. And I go play a show there and then you're the sound guy there too. I'm like, how the hell? And like, are you not doing sound at the studio tonight? You're like at both places, you know, like that's crazy.
Get those gigs.
Just everywhere. That's what I mean by balance, man. So what about this half-mast reunion? Are you going to do it or no?
No, that's some bands just you don't reunite, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But the recordings are there, and there's some stuff I haven't even released yet.
Yeah.
That I might just throw at the internet.
You should. Half-mast was his Celtic folk band, very similar to Whiskey Wagon. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
You know. In your opinion, what is the state of the music scene now? Like, what you knew it and you talk about it in the 90s and you watched it explode with places like, you know, the Liquid Lounge and New City and the big boom from downtown and then the bigger boom from, you know, Whyte Avenue when they had, what was it, the Pawn Shop, Filthies. Like, it was just going like crazy. They had, why am I forgetting what Craig's place was called? The Wonder Bar.
Yeah.
All these crazy ass
I did sound
places.
there for like 2.5 years.
Of course you did. Yeah. And I forgot all about it. But yeah, you know, what do you see it now as compared to then? You know?
I mean, it's always been, Edmonton's always had an amazing music scene that's always kind of thrived. Even at the worst of times when venues are closing, more venues would always pop up. And there's always bands coming after bands, and there's so much talent in Edmonton.
And you know, I knew you'd see it because it's like, I love it when a venue closes. I love it when a venue closes. Don't make that into a promo.
Don't quote it.
But I love it when it happens and then a secret venue pops up of some guy like, fuck it, they're not going to stop me from making shows. I'm doing it in my garage now, or I'm doing it in this industrial district. Like, it's like how Scotty did with the, you know, the Bottle Depot. It's like how legal that was, we don't really know. But I mean, we did it for years and it was the most amazing time in the world. So, I mean, as long as if Edmonton's got that kind of feel to it, I mean, their music's not going anywhere. But
yeah, exactly. And there's young people with new bands that are killing it, and there's some great venues that are putting on all the shows right now. And
COVID was fucking scary though.
Yeah, that was brutal.
I thought we were like, thought that was going to be the chokehold.
It was all over for quite a while there.
Yeah, it was sad. So, what's your biggest musical inspiration? You've been here, there, everywhere. Like, who's the guy that you look up to?
The guy. Oh man, you can't ask me that.
No, you don't have a
my
poster
ADD
above
brain has way too many people in it for it to have one guy.
First guy comes to mind.
No, can't even.
Oh, okay.
There's like thousands of guys.
Well,
like you gotta, for what, right? Like, playing guitar.
Here's one for you. What's the CD that you're rocking to like right now? What's the music, the song that you like love listening to right now?
The main thing I love listening to right now, I'm listening to a lot of synthwave, actually.
Synthwave, it is good. I like that mall wave.
Yeah, I like like Gunship and.
Oh, I don't know that, but
yeah. Time Cop 1983.
Okay. See, I don't know names. It's just ambient to me, but I just like it if I can hear mall noise in the background.
Or it always sounds like you're in a movie montage.
Yeah. Oh, you like that stuff? Yeah. It's great for like working out. It makes you really feel like you're gonna like kill the bad guy at the end of your workout.
And then there's always like a million punk songs, you know.
Yeah.
I'm more of a hit it on random guy all the time. Like, it's always on random.
I got that too. My shuffle's so weird. It'll go from like classical music to like, I love sad girl music. So a lot of like Taylor Swift and Gracie Abrams right now.
See, I listen to whole albums when it's local bands. Like I just downloaded the Cut-Off CPs.
I thought you meant like whole albums, like Courtney Love.
No, not Courtney Love. No, I don't.
What's wrong with Courtney Love?
It's not my thing.
Just go. Okay, yeah, I hear you. No, I won't make a shotgun joke. So, what's your favorite venue to play around here?
My favorite venue to play? There's a few. I mean, Dive Bar has been a cool venue to play.
It's pretty dope.
I always like playing at Black Bar, even with their minimal PA and stuff. It's just such a nice
Black Bar is crazy. Like that. When I went in there and I'm like, they play shows here, and I'm like, oh,
it's normally a little restaurant pub, right?
Yeah, and it's like you're playing on the floor. And it's been very rare that I've had to play on the floor. I guess I consider myself lucky that at least there's been like at least a 6-inch riser for a stage on most occasions.
Yeah, it's intimate there.
Intimate. That's the way to put it. Yeah. So here's another one. What are the nicest washrooms of any venue you've played at in Alberta?
Nicest washrooms of any venue. They're all terrible. You know, the best washroom at a venue is like, hey, it's clean.
That is good. But this follow-up question then, what is the worst?
The worst.
And why is it Mama's Pizza?
Why is it? That was the worst. Yeah. D8 on 99 was pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
I think the Cobalt bathroom was probably the worst punk venue bathroom I've ever seen.
I mean, because Terry had 2 bathrooms at Mama's Pizza, and they were both absolutely disgusting. I was like,
it was gnarly in there.
Like whatever liquid was in there, it wasn't quite red, it wasn't quite brown. It was somewhere in between. And you were like, why is it sticking to my shoes? This is disgusting, you know? So for you, is there a moment in your entire musical career where you're like, this is it. I've done it. I'm happiest right here.
Oh, it's probably like all the time. I've got to open for a bunch of classic bands, like got to open for SNFU, got to open for the UK Subs, Vibrators, Teenage Head once.
Do you talk to these guys, or is your MO just like go up and do your thing?
You know, sometimes after you play, you get to talk to them, and sometimes they're like cool, they want to chat, and sometimes they're like, I don't want to chat to anybody.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I get that.
You let them do their thing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice when there's nice guys. Sometimes
I find I push it too much with them. I'm always like, hey, you better talk to me. We played a show together. Yeah, the guy from Andrew Jackson Jihad didn't like that very much.
We had one where we pushed it. Josh from Mongo Doom.
Yeah,
it was. Is
Josh the guy who wears the pantyhose?
Yeah.
Excellent legs on that guy.
Who was it? Was it Corrosion of Conformity that played?
Oh yeah,
it was somebody, and like our buddy was a fan. And he was a dick to him. So then
it ruins everything.
Then Josh just heckled the shit out of him. We were in the bar yelling at him until security kicked us out.
That sucks when it turns that way too, right? I remember one time I went to the washroom and I was taking a leak right beside Thomas Gabriel of Against Me when he was Thomas Gabriel before he was Laura Jane Grace. And of course I'm like, I have to say something. It's my only chance. I'm like, no, you were at a urinal beside this dude. Do not talk. And of course I'm like, I love your stuff. It inspired me. I started a band because of you. And he's like, yeah, thanks, man.
Right now.
Yeah, he's like, Jesus, don't look at my dick. But either way, it's one of those things. I'm like, why did I say it? But you know, that's the thing. So where do you see it going for you? Just chilling, playing music, doing your thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting older. I don't know like how much I'm pushing. I'm always going to play music. I'm always going to be in bands, but I don't know if I'm going to tour extensively. You know, run my weird little studio and.
Your weird little studio. Are you recording for guys right now?
I haven't been recording for anybody for a little while, but I mean, I've done that before, right?
Yeah.
I've got a whole bunch of bands that are on.
Do you mostly record your own stuff too?
And tapes, but I record my own stuff now.
Yeah.
We just did a Mongo Doom track with a reel-to-reel player in mono.
That's fucking dope. So what does that add to it? That gives it that like authentic kind of.
It makes it crunchy and
lo-fi,
right?
Yeah, that crunchy lo-fi feel where you're like, hey, it sounds like it might be better
like,
because
here's what it would be like if we recorded in 1957, you know?
Yeah. That's always fucking cool though, man. I mean, I remember the first studio I went to go record, they had one of those. And they're like, do you want us to record on this? I'm like, fuck no, but that's cool that you do it.
Yeah, you do it.
So did you work with Rob at all in his studio? Rob Lawless?
Yeah, I've been in there with him a bunch of times. My bands have recorded there.
Yeah.
Rickers, their album was done there, the last album.
Did you guys record another album?
Well, the last one we released, Nothing Seems to Stick When You're Stuck, was that a couple of years ago now.
Nice.
A year ago.
Are you guys still playing?
We played a lot last year, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're on a bit of a break right now, so.
Okay, yeah. That'd be good to actually get Rod up here. Like, you guys are fucking awesome. Big staple in all of Alberta. Because you guys started what, like Innisfail?
Yeah, he's had the band for 20 years. I've only been there for like 5 or 6. But.
Yeah. I remember playing with them in Red Deer, Innisfail, everywhere.
Yeah, he's from Red Deer, so.
Yeah.
Innisfail area.
Cool, man. Well, anything you want to pump to the people, tell them to do? You got a show coming up, yeah?
Come see me play synths at the Aviary for the Noise Cafe on Tuesday, January 21st.
We're going to get this out before the 21st. We're going to try our hardest.
If this isn't out by then, well, you missed it.
You missed it, and he did it.
I
sad.
did it.
But, you know, you're going to be playing synths there?
Yeah.
So we talked about this on the last show. The Aviary has such a strange crowd for me, somebody who's like more involved in the punk scene. It's like they have like a whole untapped market of people that I need to connect with. So I might come see you.
It's an art venue, so like.
Did you say it's on the 21st you play?
The 21st, yeah. It's a Tuesday.
Well, that's literally
Tuesday
our next
night.
taping. That's the next day we tape. I can't make it.
Can't make it. But I know normally I work on Tuesdays, so I usually do trivia night where I do sound. Right?
Well, shows on a Tuesday. I hope it's got to be good. He knows what he's doing.
It'll be good.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
much.
man. It's
Great
been
time.
awesome. You are the stallion,
Well, thank you.
the guitar stallion of Edmonton, everybody. Mikey Danyluk.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Your body deserves only the best. Only settle for perfection. Chandelier velouté.
Chandelier velouté.
It's in the air.
Welcome back to the Midnight Tonight Show. We got Kevin Martin from The Lobby, the long-standing local celebrity who sells you all your lovely DVDs and VHSs. Actually, are you renting VHSs?
Oh, baby, love you. Well, most you'll just buy them. But yeah, you can rent or you can buy, Yeah. But, the kids, they just want to own them. They need them. It's like part of their family and stuff.
For those of you who don't know, he has a store on Whyte Avenue, and you've been there, you just told me, almost 20 fucking years right now.
I'm glad you dropped the F-bomb. I wasn't sure if I could swear on this show or not.
Oh, you can fucking swear.
Oh, fuck. Thank God, dude. Okay.
Yeah. This is YouTube. We don't have...
I mean, not that I'm going to force it out, but...
We don't have any sponsors
I'm trying to
yet,
be classy,
Yeah.
Shit, man. I opened up... It'll be 20 years this August coming up. Crazy, man. 20 years.
20 years this August.
Fuck me. I love... you got to love what you do, though, right? And it's all about loving what you do. And, my theory is all their video stores closed down and the last one standing, at least in Edmonton. And, hey, man, somebody's got to be there to teach the younger generation. Look, whatever you think's a good movie, it's based on something older and way fucking cooler. So check this, the OG out.
You can tell you really this is your thing, because when you talk about it, you talk like an old blues guy. You're like, you got to love what you do, man. And when you do it, you're going to love it.
Absolutely.
Baby love, you got to love what you do.
It's funny. I was like, because, being a skinny guy with long hair and shit, on my Facebook profile, I looked at, you remember the show Hilarious House of Frightenstein from the 70s, the Canadian show?
I don't recall.
I know it was before your time, but it was always on reruns and shit. There was a character called the Librarian, and he would read spooky stories, but they were the dumbest kid stories. But I was freaked out by him when I was a kid. But he had long gray hair. He sat in a dusty chair.
He's like R.L. Stein before R.L. Stein.
Dude, totally, right? And it was all shot in Hamilton. And I'm like, that'll be me in hopefully my mid 60s. And then the final version of me is obviously the Crypt Keeper after I'm dead. I told everybody, look, just fucking clean out, get rid of the meat and flesh and organs, put wires in my bones and shit, and just animatronically keep me wired up behind the video store desk, because I'm totally cool with that lot in life.
It'll be an AI robot who's just animatronically controlling your skeleton.
You know what? Sometimes destination just calls to us. This is this is what you're good at, It's I always joke, if I knew as much about something important in life, I don't know, chemistry or some shit as I do about bad B movies, cancer would have been cured by now. But no, I can tell you when a movie came out and how much it made and why it kicks ass, even if the critics hated it. And that's me a lot in life, baby.
So speaking about movies, I got a couple questions here for you.
I love the questions.
Everybody wants to know, you are the movie connoisseur, you've seen billions and billions of shit movies, great movies, good movies, everything. What is the hidden gem movie, the movie that people miss, that you would always steer them towards?
Well, being a product of the 80s and having the VCR be my babysitter, I am the biggest offender of the shittiest. Is it good on paper? No. But do I love it? Absolutely. Let me tell you about a little hidden treasure from 1988 called Cheerleader Camp. All right, now this is my go-to.
You had me at Cheerleader.
Oh, Baby Love. The original title was Bloody...
You keep calling me Baby Love. We're going to have to go back.
Absolutely.
We're going to have to go backstage, man.
This coffee just brings the best out of me. Basically, the original title was Bloody Pom-Poms, and it is a weird mix between a meatball sex comedy that takes place at this big cheerleading tournament gathering, where it's obviously 30-year-old actors. Half of them are Penthouse playmates at the time.
How old were you when you first saw this movie?
Dude, I was 11, 12.
Yeah,
so
no wonder
it was
it's
super impressionable. It is ingrained.
This is the first sexual branding
it's like a
you've
sex
ever
comedy
had.
for the first half, and then it's guess who the killer is, because the killer is just randomly showing up and shit. And It stars like the amazing Lucinda Dickey, who's best known from Break-In and Break-In 2, Electric Boogaloo, and she was also in Ninja 3, The Domination.
You just put Electric Boogaloo on anything and it sounds
Dude, you're fucking in, right? Like, it's funny you bring this up though, because if you were a kid growing up in the 80s and you want to get into horror movies and shit, but like maybe you're a little bit scared, the ultimate gateway drug, and I know you love this movie as much as I do because you're a punk rock guy, and you probably love this too. It's easily Return of the Living Dead. 2. Motherfucker, did you say part 2?
Yeah, so with the punk rockers.
No, that's part 1, baby. Part 2 has a kid in it.
Oh, yeah, part 2 has the one where they're dancing in the graveyard.
That's right. That's part 1.
The acid rain comes.
That's part 1.
Because it's scary, but it was kind of funny. But then you're right. Linnea Quigley, Scream Queen Goddess, when she does that graveyard dance, and we all remember the dance, if you saw it at a young, impressionable age. I was 10 years old, and I'm like, I think I like punk rock girls. And of course, the beautiful thing about punk music, using all punk bands from the Cramps, etc., and Grave 45 soundtrack in that movie, is punk music ages like wine, right? Like, so it could be a movie from the 80s, but you play a punk rock track 40 years later from that same band, it still sounds kick-ass. It's not dated at all.
And nothing beats like the 80s punk fashion. Nobody does the chain from ear to nose anymore. Yeah. Like that is
Suicide, baby.
Yeah, that is the coolest shit.
I know you're talking about.
I think I knew one chick in my life that did that. And I was like, you're seriously doing this? That is so cool.
Yeah.
And like the chain was way too heavy, way too big. I think it was like obviously from like a dog chain or something. It was huge, but I was like, just rock it. Fucking do it.
Oh, fuck, man. That was so cool. And actually, the actor that in that movie you're referring to is Mark Venturini, who also was in Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning, which had the fake Jason. The Roy, the ambulance driver, was the killer in that one. We're just going to nerd out about movies. If I keep going on here. But,
give me a movie boner.
Yeah, Return of the Living Dead and Friday the 13th 5.
Such a classic.
Beautiful thing.
So we're going to do some origin story questions here for you. I know you love a good origin story, so we want to know yours.
Okay.
So what inspired you to open? Well, I guess you're already fucking telling us this. So what inspired you to open the store? When were you like, you know what? I'm going to fucking do it. I'm going to take this leap and I'm going to rent this place and I'm going to stock it full and do the whole Kevin Costner. If I build it, they will come. All
right, well, fuck. I'll give you the Coles book version because there's a few stories. And most importantly, you grew up as a kid in the 80s. My old man wasn't around that much, military guy. So we got our first VCR in the early 80s. And back then, getting a VCR was like a massive decision because it was either get a new car for the family or a VCR. That's how much those fucking things were. I know it blows the younger generation away, but they were expensive as balls. Wooden paneling.
I'm going to tell you the short version of the story. And you started in the 80s with your grandfather. I love it. Keep going, though.
So, movies were a huge part of my life. Obviously, I lived in a certain part of Canada where there was a theater there and they didn't give a shit how old you were. So between the ages of 9 and 11 in the mid 80s, I got to go see whatever the fuck I wanted. So here's 9-year-old me sitting front row center every night in the movie theater, which was on the block I lived in. So I got to watch RoboCop opening night, Predator on the big screen, Commando, Friday the 13th Part 5 and Part 6. Basically movies I should not be watching at that age in a theater with a popcorn.
You were exactly what Ronald Reagan was fighting against.
Absolutely.
He didn't want kids to see those movies and you were there.
But actually there's 2 I did see during that era that he definitely wanted kids to see. Rambo, First Blood Part 2 and Rocky 4 because they beat those goddamn commies. But no, that was one thing.
Cold War reference.
I worked at in the 90s, I worked in a video store, like a video station here in Edmonton and shit. There was a bunch. I worked graveyard shift, and that's why I discovered we carried all the crazy exploitation cinema from the 70s, black exploitation, Nazi exploitation, all that crazy shit. And then I got a job at HMV. And it was cool for a bit, and then the fucking thing went corporate, and they made us wear uniforms. Do you remember when HMV was cool? So I worked.
In West Ed. Yeah,
okay,
I remember.
So in West Ed,
you could get your CD.
I worked
come in with your CD and say,
I worked at the OG location where the Whale used to be, Phase 2, and then I was still there when they moved it to that what will become Phase 4, which is now Sunrise. I think they're gone too.
Yeah.
The minute we moved to that big one, they pulled out these god awful purple fucking golf shirt uniforms, and these are uniforms. That defeats the purpose
of Empire Records.
What makes you got it, man. Because what made HMV cool?
Fucking quarters down.
What made it cool before was we could wear what we wanted, but you just had your chain name tag around you. So if I was the movie guy, I'd wear a Texas Chainsaw shirt. It would have my name tag with Kevin, and I'm like, yeah, he's the movie guy. Go talk to him.
Should have had Warren. My name isn't fucking Warren. It's another.
I went to my first punk show because of HMV in Kingsway.
Dude, that's crazy.
Punk rockers worked there.
Yeah.
And the guy was like,
handed you a flyer.
Was like, hey, no, he was like, you should go to this show. The ticket is $8. And I was like, I got $8, you know, above what I'm paying for this Blind Melon CD. Right?
As long as I don't buy a Wetzel's pretzel, I'm good.
Well, this, you know, like I know we're going to get sidetracked here because that's what we do when we're catching up in life and shit. But like, boys, like, you know, like I get kids. When I say kids, I mean 16, 17-year-olds. They always ask, "Am I hiring? Am I hiring?" I'm like, "Fuck, guys. Like, I wish. Do you know what year it is? It's 2024, 2025. I'm like, but I feel bad for them because I'm like, I tell them, you know, picture the magical land before the internet. It was the early 90s.
Yeah.
If you got a fucking gig at a record shop or a video store back then at the age they are now, you had the fucking coolest job in the world. Like,
the guys at my local CD store, they were the fucking coolest people. Like, I made friends with all of them, and they always had like the best recommendations. Those are the people you talk to. Yeah. What's good? Put it on. Let's hear it.
They were passionate about their shit, and I feel bad for this generation now because they want to work at a record shop or a video store, but just no money.
Yeah.
There's no money. I know you're probably going to ask me, how do I keep the fucking store going? But we'll get to that in a second. That's probably question number 14. I don't know. But anyways, getting back to it. So, so HMV fired me, long story short.
Money laundering and cocaine embezzlement.
I remember one of the managers that decided to say, to fire me, says, why don't you just open up your own store then? And I'm like, maybe I will. Maybe I will. Now, granted, it took me 6 years, but I got in the bar industry after that. And the main reason I opened the shop up was as much like working at bars in Whyte Ave, and I've been working at bars since 97, and I'm Whyte Ave since 2000. So it's been a hot minute.
That's when you started going to shows.
Yeah. It's been a hot minute. My buddy originally opened up my store. It was called Oddity Cinema. He opened up in 2004, but he had to fuck off back to Montreal. So he only had open for 11 months, and he asked me, like, dude, like, do you know anybody that wants to buy this video store? I'm like, I do. I don't want to be known as the guy, like, what do you do for a living? I play music and people get drunk because of what I do, and then they have miserable lives. And I just felt bad about that. I'd rather be like, I just want to be able to recommend movies to people. So I didn't have the money, but luckily Whyte Ave is a pretty tight community. And I definitely ate 3 times a day at one of my favorite restaurants, Daddy-O Restaurant, Whyte Ave, which is like, Daddy-O's is like the staple. And I became good buddies with the owners.
That's I fell in love with jalapeno jelly.
Yeah, baby. And the po' boys.
I used to go for po' boy days.
Dude, they're still a thing. They're beautiful.
And I think that's the first time I ever had yam fries. I was like, fucking, what's going on with yam fries?
Boys, getting me hungry now.
Yeah.
But they basically said, well, how much money do you need? And I gave my number. I came back next day, they gave it to me in cash. And I'm like, why are you doing this? I'm like,
Daddy-O's gave you money?
Yeah, they're the ones that gave me the money. I paid
Big
them
up
back.
to Daddy-O's, not only po' boys, local saviors.
I paid them back in 2 years. They ever charged me interest. I said, why'd you do it? Like, because one day you'll be able to do it for some other small business. Sadly, that has not fucking happened at all.
Still.
But it was super nice of them. And yeah, man, I opened up in fucking 05. And even in 05, this was like a big mistake because I'm like, fuck. Like, there's too many video stores. Like, streaming was just starting to become a thing. Like, Redbox was showing up. And I'm like, I made the biggest mistake of my life.
That's the craziest thing is for kids
used to be down the street.
Yep.
Yeah, for kids existing nowadays, they miss that that critical connecting step of Netflix to streaming, which was Redbox, where Netflix was a vending machine.
Yeah.
And so this is what killed or started killing all of the blockbusters, where you could go and rent a video from a vending machine. And it would have like the 6 top hit movies of the time that were just being released. And it literally like killed blockbusters everywhere because these vending machines were renting. And you see them at gas stations. You see them at the weirdest spots. You're like, who the fuck?
The grocery stores had them too.
I always associate it with the grocery store.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the thing is, I have a lot of people get nostalgic for Blockbuster. I never did. Like, I'm a little bit older. I honestly, Blockbusters ruined video stores.
In the video store time, that was like the shitty video store.
Yeah, it was.
But I mean, like where I was, it was like that's where you took your girlfriend, you walked the aisles around, you picked up movies and laughed at movies, and then you rented the same fucking movie you always watched and just went home. Or you rented like a big stack of movies and you never watched any of them.
Well, the thing is, like, before Blockbuster, like a 10-year-old version of me could go into, like, let's call it Bob's video store, which it was, a local guy, and I could walk out with Texas Chainsaw and Dawn of the Dead. Nobody blinked an eye, right? Then Blockbuster comes around. You're like, you're not 18. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? I love these movies. Like, no, you can't have this. Also, they weren't carrying the crazy shit that going back to the exploitation cinema, the weird and out there stuff. So when I opened up my video store, Blockbuster was still around, Roger's still around. I'm like, well, I'm not going to compete with these guys. So I'm just going to be as nichey and outrageous as possible. I'm the store that like, hey, Kev, you got that Cannibal Holocaust? Sure do, buddy.
I actually
you got that August Underground? Absolutely. I
bought a copy of Cannibal Holocaust off you.
You and 600 other people. God bless you.
I got a good video store story. My first video rental spot, it was my neighborhood hardware store. And you would walk through the hardware store. You'd say, hey, I want to rent movies. And he'd open up the little curtain and you'd go into the back room where he sharpened skates and had his washroom. And that's where all the videos were.
Do you want to show us on the doll where he touched you?
That's
like crazy
6.
story.
I was 6 and I rented Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh my God.
The Dickies, baby.
I'm like,
one of the
clowns,
greatest themes
sure, this will be cool. And I loved that movie.
Yeah, that is a dope movie. Another
I remember renting
classic.
Monster Squad from there.
Yes,
like
kids
just
today
pick 'em out
still
and you'd
love
see it
Killer
and you'd
Clowns.
take it.
That's the weird part is like, we were talking about this a little bit before, is these movies that were huge flops when they came out. And then for some reason over the test of time, they just kept going and going and they snowballed to be even bigger. Like you can buy Killer Clowns t-shirts at like Walmart and Hot Topic and shit
last
now.
year, it was at Spirit Halloween. They had a whole Killer Clown section.
They had the popcorn thing.
Was there an anniversary or something?
And I don't even know this question, but that's like the sad state of affairs with like with streaming in the world we live in now. Movies like the Killer Clowns or Monster Squad or even John Carpenter's The Thing, they were all bombs. Even Blade Runner was a fucking bomb when it came out. But those movies had time to breathe and an audience discovered them because of video stores. Now there's just so much shit being thrown at the younger generation because of streaming sites that movies, they don't have time to make an impact. They're forgotten about, they're buried, and unless you're looking for them as you click down your streaming site, whichever site you're on, you're going to forget about it. And I think that's the important, and again, I'm tooting the stores, but it's true. People come into the store, they see the fucking covers on the wall, like, whoa, what is this? Like they weren't looking for it, but they see it. Tell me more about this awesome movie and this
Sizzle Beach, USA.
Kevin Costner, baby. Hell yeah. That was his first movie.
God, the Yellowstone Man.
Everybody starts somewhere, and Costner started in a sex comedy.
Just watched him in Robin Hood. And there's
such a good movie. It's
the
so
best
fun.
line in the whole movie. I've never touched the breasts of a noble woman. And I was like, oh God.
You know, the best part of that movie is, aside from Alan Rickman, which is the best part of that fucking movie, is the fact that Costner tried so hard with the accent and it kept cutting in and out and in and out.
Just
and progressively
gave up
worse.
on it regularly.
Yeah, but my favorite part was Christian Slater shows up. He's supposed to be Costner's brother. Slater gives
what I started.
he gives no fucks and just doesn't even try. He's just talking like Christian Slater from Heathers.
But Christian Slater talks like Jack Nicholson. That's
Yes.
the thing that kills me.
He admitted, he's like, when he did Heathers and when he did Pump of the Volume, he was just
Jack
like,
Nicholson.
I'm talking. He looked like Jack. He had the same forehead. And I still love Slater for that. At least he was honest about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird place to grab your inspiration from, but Jack Nicholson pulled.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Keep it coming, baby.
Yeah, man. You just made a movie. That's what we're here to promote.
Oh,
We're
right,
not
yeah.
just here to talk about the store. You've done something amazing, something very few Edmontonians have done. You have made a full feature film that you sent to me. I watched it. It was fucking great. So let's talk about your movie. It is called The Last Video Store.
Yeah. So over the last decade, my directors, Tim Rutherford and Cody Kennedy, they were actually customers at my store. Aside from the shop, I ran a film festival in Edmonton called Dead Fest for 13 years with some friends. And we used to have these competitions for local filmmakers to make shorts. And these two guys kept fucking winning every month. And then basically...
Every month?
Dude, we did monthly screenings, right?
Okay.
And their shit was just better than everybody else's. So
Passionate guys.
1 month we had the actor Michael Biehn, that's Corporal Hicks from Aliens, or Kyle Reese from the OG Terminator, if anybody doesn't know, or
classic.
Johnny Ringo from Tombstone. Anyways, he was a guest of ours. So I was like, fuck, man, like we should probably have like his best of clip show before we welcome on stage and shit. We were promoting this new movie. And then my program partner was like, why don't we get Tim and Cody to film some of your store, like a tribute to him? So like a Terminator spoof in my store and shit. Anyways, that night, Michael B and his wife, they loved it. And our crowd was like, cool, what are you guys filming next month? I'm like, nothing. But so for a while, whatever movie we were screening at the film fest, we would do a parody of it in the video store. So it was Army Darkness, Battle Royale, Poltergeist. But eventually, let's just fucking do something original. So we started to shoot a series of short films. And one of them was called The Last Video Store in 2013.
I recall seeing some of these as you started releasing them.
They started picking up traction. They started playing at film fests in like North America and the US and overseas. And then we were trying to get funding. We said, fuck it, let's just make a feature movie, man. And, 30 drafts later, 3 failed attempts later, and finally some guys in England believed in us. That they gave us a micro budget. We had a budget of about, to us, it was a shitload of money. It was like, I think it was $250,000. And they're like, yeah. The only thing is,
Canada, you can buy Parliament with that. No.
You learn something real quick though, man. Like you're like, fuck, that's a lot of money. We can do some crazy shit. No, it's not at all.
Once you start renting cameras and
we did not film in the real video store. We actually, for tax credits, we shot the movie in Hamilton, Ontario.
There goes that question.
I know, I saw it. What we did do was we rebuilt my store, same dimensions on the sound studio in Hamilton, Sound Studios. But I remember I was all fucking jazzed.
It looked just like your video store.
Dude,
I was
it did, except all VHS tapes, I know.
Yeah, the VHS tapes, I was like.
So here I am on a fucking plane, and I'm getting ready to land in Hamilton, and I'm thinking, awesome, it's gonna be like a professional movie. We got carpenters and shit. Like, I'm gonna show up, the set's gonna be built, I'm gonna walk into like what looks like my store. No, I get there, and I get to Atlanta at 9 at night, and they're like, they drive me over to where the studio is, and there's my director and my co-star Josh, who played Viper Jackson, and we've done all the shorts, and they're hammering and painting. Cool, good to see you, Kev. Pick up a paintbrush. We got 5 days to build this fucking set. So it was like, cool, just like old times. So we literally had to build that fake video store in like 4 or 5 days.
That's dope though, man.
It turned out good, but but the craziest
that
shit,
Tom Cruise never has to build his sets.
No doubt, man. Like,
and it shows with his acting.
It was fucking surreal because the first day of filming, so all the lighting and camera crews and shit, these guys were from Toronto. They're all Ontario based. They work on Netflix shows and like, actual legit stuff. And they didn't know who the fuck we were. They were paid to do this thing. So first day of filming, I'm used to doing the shorts in the video store. We're like, 4 or 5 of your buds. No, you hold the lights, you hold the camera and blah, blah. So day one, I step on set and behind the camera, there's like 10 people staring at me. I don't know who these people are like. And then it dawned on me like, oh shit, they think I'm an actor. Because they didn't know the backstory. They didn't know like this guy owns a video store. They thought I was an actor. I'm like, so talk about imposter syndrome, man. I'm
no
like,
kidding.
Fuck me. Like I gotta, but as it was a 15-day shoot schedule in Ontario. We got shut down because of COVID. We didn't know we were going to finish the movie, and we did the reshoots in Vancouver actually. But by the end of it, all the crew members that knew nothing about my store, they were super invested in the project. Like it was like a team effort because they want to know more about like, holy shit, you have a video store?
That's you, Kev. You do that to people. Like you draw them in. It's like something about you where it's just like people get into it, man. It's just the passion you have.
Well, we're all big movie nerds at heart, man. Yeah. It's always good to be able to pry and poke. Everybody has like that thing they remember from their childhood, right? So, and that's what I do with my customers too. But yeah, no, the movie premiered at the legendary Alamo Draft House in Austin, Texas, which was a trip. I mean, here's a little movie playing next to fucking, big time movies with big time actors. And they liked it for the most part. And then, it did a good Canadian screening tour and played in England. And now it got physical release in the UK and the US. Canadian release is coming out. And
that's it. Canadian release is coming out. You heard it here.
March.
Yes. We're breaking this news, right?
Yeah, it's insane. Hot. It's a company called
on the Midnight Tonight Show.
Hot News, and it's a company called Black Fawn Distribution. And man, if you pre-order now, you get the Blu-ray, you get a limited edition VHS tape, you get a Funko Pop figurine of one of the characters, not me, sadly.
Oh, come on.
You get a T-shirt, you get a patch, you get like, man, they went all.
Do you get a magnet?
Yes, the magnet's included too.
Oh, dude, I need to order this because I want the VHS version.
Did you appreciate how the magnet was the MacGuffin? I did. We gave out the magnets in Texas before.
We don't want to give out too much about the story, but a video magnet, a promo magnet is involved.
Yes.
Some of the stuff.
If you know the history of magnetic tape and magnets, they do not mix well together.
Yeah. Mikey would know that because he's Mikey. So what do you want people to take away from this film?
Well, what's funny is people that have seen the movie that don't live in Edmonton, their biggest takeaway so far has been like, I miss video stores. And the weirdest fucking thing is whether people liked the movie or didn't, a lot of the reviews are all saying like, so he's got a lot of heart. I wasn't expecting to walk out feeling kind of emotional, which I didn't think that was gonna be a thing either. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, because in a weird way, like not a spoiler, but a sort of spoiler. Like in the end, video stores will not win in the end. So it's kind of the movie's called The Last Video Store for a reason. But hopefully, what people take away from it is that nostalgic, fun feeling of if their childhood or maybe their parents or their older brothers or sisters going to the video store was an adventure. I always tell this to all my customers, and I stand by this. If you're at home and you're flipping through a streaming site, you might be flipping for like 45 fucking minutes going, I don't know. And then you finally click on something. If you're not into it within 5 minutes, you generally will stop it and be like, I'll get back to it. Honestly, you probably never will. But if you go through the effort of going to a video store, searching through those dusty shelves, you look at the covers, and it's all we had to base it on, right? Just the covers, like, this looks fucking cool. Like,
is Allison Brie in this?
Yeah, but you could rent the 3 shittiest movies of all time, but you will watch all 3 of those fucking movies. A, because you got to return them. You got them for a week. Yeah. And also, because you have a guy like me to bitch to them about, like, dude, like, these were horrible. I'm like, let's talk about it. Yeah. Because with streaming sites, you don't have anybody to talk about it.
You're also very good at recommending a lot of those. I went through like that super gory Japanese film stage. And my God, you recommended some absolutely insane stuff. I can't even remember some of the ones I watched, but there was one where they were like just in this building where this black fungus hair thing was growing everywhere. It was kind of like The Ring, kind of not. It was also a computer. It was something crazy.
Dude, the best ones, like over the years, I don't know if you're going to ask this, like after 20 years, what's my best-selling movie? Well, I'll tell you, it's Cannibal Holocaust, we brought it, yeah. But number 2 is the story of Ricky O. Speaking of crazy,
you sell that lots,
dude. Ricky O.
Yeah, you push that.
Kev, I got some buddies coming over. We're gonna have some drinks. Not only something I want to focus on too hard. I'm like Ricky O, dude. Ricky O, Ricky O.
And is that Takashi Mike?
No. This is Ricky O is Hong Kong. Takashi Miike, you're thinking of my man Ichi the Killer. Audition.
You always push that on me. You're like, watch this. I'm like, give me just a Roger Corman film. I just need one Roger Corman.
Dude, humanoids from the deep. If you want Roger Corman, man.
Yeah, you sold me like a bunch of different triple movie or quadruple movie selections that have all the Roger Corman stuff. I'm a huge Corman fan.
Oh, dude. Okay. Like, it's just, there's cinema and there's movies, man. Like,
My favorite thing about Corman, though, is like, even though he made exploitation movies, he didn't like choose something to exploit. He exploited everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
He's like, I'm just not going to pay anybody to do these. I watched like the documentary and like these people are getting paid in like hot dogs and whiskey.
But he gave creative control though. He let him like, I can't pay you shit, but you can do whatever you want.
Well, that's cool. Then.
And look at the guys that he raised. Jack Nicholson, Joe Dante, fucking Jonathan Demme. All these guys worked under Corman. And
what Corman film was Nicholson in?
Oh, dude, The Terror.
The Terror.
Yeah.
I have to check that out. I know the guy who plays Captain Spaulding, he was in...
Well, Sid Haig was in all the Pam Grier women in prison movies, like Big Birdcage.
I was talking more like that sci-fi one. What's that sci-fi one he did?
Oh, Galaxy of Terror.
Yeah, Galaxy of Terror.
It was Sid Haig there. Fucking Freddy Krueger himself. Robert Englund was in there.
Yeah, that's
and Joni from Happy Days in there. And you know who did the special effects of that movie? James motherfucking Cameron.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So he directed that giant slug to go over top of that woman? I knew James Cameron did that.
Alien sexual innuendo. Yeah. There was a magical time. And you know what's funny is...
I had a magical time.
All these years talking about, they're like 70s, 80s, even early 90s. The younger generation that does still come to the video store, they dig that shit more than they like the new shit. Mm-hmm. I love when young kids get, their favorite movie is John Carpenter's The Thing. They fucking love
And I do see it a lot now. Like some younger kids, they're like into like it, and they're into like the Scream guys. Like they're all into like all these horror mascots, and then they're getting into horror in a big way, and they have to go back to see the originals, and they're becoming like elitists. I know a guy who's like a kid, he's 8 years old, and he's telling me about like the original Michael Myers, the one who had like the first mask that had real hair, and the other one, I'm like,
Bill Shatner mask.
I'm like, why do you know these things? You're 8 years old, dude. Like, and he's getting into it. So it's interesting to see that growing. But like you said, and it was interesting to hear you say this, which was that video stores don't stand a chance. So that must make you feel like you're just like, you're holding the gate as long as you can, man.
Well, the reason I'm able to hold the gate is because A, I don't have a wife or kids. As long as my cat's fed, I'm okay. Also, I still work at bars at night to keep the dream alive. And obviously, you got to love what you do. But you gotta love what you do. You gotta love what you do, baby. But yeah, I mean, not to sound all sentimental and to love, for Edmonton, but the last thing I fucking expected 20 years ago was the store to become part of the community, as they say. I remember when I was having financial difficulties. I was behind on bills like 2013, 14, and my buddy Jay Thompson, who was the manager of Blues on Whyte at the time, he said, "Fuck it, we're gonna do this fundraiser for you." And they turned Blues on Whyte.
Jay Thompson rocks.
They turned Blues on Whyte on Monday night into a punk rock night. That was unheard of, a Blues on Whyte. Yeah. And all the bands that showed up, the Real Sickies played, James Renton played,
nice.
A couple of boys played. All of them played for free, and they did it because they were all regulars at the video store. And they loved the video store. And that meant so much. We were talking about a minus 30-degree winter Monday night, and like 250 people showed up at Blues on Whyte.
Well, they hear that you're in need.
But I never asked for it. I told Jay, I'm like, don't do it, man. I mean, there's just way more important causes.
Did you cry a little?
I fucked you. Well, the booze helped. Yeah. Dude, thank God you
didn't
see me.
Saved my life.
God you didn't see me on the night we premiered the movie here in Edmonton. We sold out 500 plus at the Garneau Theater.
You cried a lot.
Dude, I was so stressed out today. I closed the shop the movie was at 7. I closed the store at 2. I went right to the Black Dog. I was drinking from like 2:30 to when I got on stage at 7. I was a fucking wreck.
That's classic Whiskey Wagon. I did that our first CD release. I fell off the stage in our second song.
I remember like you playing at Filthy's a few times. And
that was at the pawn shop.
Oh, okay.
The worst is I got the sound engineer to record it. And then and I got him to record another night too. And he handed me like the recordings and I was like, oh, cool. And I was listening to them and I'm like, oh, I actually have a recording of how awful this was. That's great.
Remind me, when you played at Filthy's and shit, what was your drinking choice? Was it double Ryan Cokes?
It was double Jack Daniels on the rocks.
Dude, so there were a few nights, this fucking guy, before like he would start pounding him back 2 hours after his band went on. And we're like, do we cut him off? Like, and he would walk on. I'm like, I don't even know if he can walk. And he like, you could barely hold your guitar. But the minute you started playing, it was just like, burp.
Yeah,
and you
muscle
nailed
reflex.
it. But then the minute your set ended, you might as well just fell off the stage.
Yeah,
it was like.
I remember one time at Filthy's, the security guard kicked me out of Filthy's before
your set.
He was like, you're not allowed in here. I'm like, I'm in the band. And he's like, well, I guess you're going to have to play without their bassist. And I was like, try lead singer, motherfucker. And he's like, all right, get in there, play it and leave. And yeah, it was.
I like how he assumes that that's bass player behavior.
Yeah.
It's weird. I always thought the bass player would be the quiet one, you know? I'm like, yeah, it's just a bass player,
they
man.
get pretty quiet sometimes.
Yeah, they're usually the background.
They're always they're the hidden freaks. they're the guys who show up and they're like, hey, guess what I brought to the gig? And it's just like a leather thong with a zipper in the front. You're like, you're not wearing that. So we're not that band.
What would you categorize the drummer in a band? What are they? Are they like are they the straight guy? The straight edge guy?
They're the wild boys. Like a lot of them. Like
is that why bands go through so many drummers? Like, well,
there's so many drummers because their drummers are like Mikey D. Mikey D's like a drummer guitarist because they're in every band. Like drummers have to be in like 9 bands. Yeah, there's not enough drummers. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that comes down to like the parental choice when your kid's like, I want to play music. And they're at the store and they're like, not that big loud thing that costs 5 times as much.
Yep. Also, it's really loud.
It costs how much and it's how loud?
Nobody takes my drummer anymore because he doesn't have drums. So I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Go figure that one out. Get him to practice. He's got no drums. But all the Whiskey Wagon songs have been ingrained in him, so we don't even need to practice. We're just like, show up again. And we're like, there we go. One thing I wanted to talk about that's like super important to me is the black gumball. So when I grew up and there was, I talked about Blockbuster a bit, but right beside my daycare when I was a little kid, there was a small video store that had an arcade in it. And the arcade, like Mortal Kombat had just come out, like the OG ones. We go there and see Mortal Kombat just to like see, even just watch the screen and people like beat the blood out of each other. But they had the black gumball. And for younger people watching, the black gumball was a gumball in the gumball machine. And when you turned it, and if you got the black gumball, it would say 1 free rental on it. So your movie has an homage to the black gumball. And it just killed me. It brought me, that was the moment of your movie where I was like, oh God, Like Kevin is so ingrained into this time of my life that it is nuts.
It was so funny because obviously, not giving too much away of the movie, but you've seen it. The scene where it looks like my customer, Vanessa, Nyla, she's about to throw the gumball machine down to stop the monster or whatever. Well, that was a rental, so we couldn't do it. We're like, we can't smash this fucking thing. We need a refund.
Some collector gave it to you for like the weekend.
Yeah, from Toronto.
That's his gumball machine.
And the black gumball itself, that was CGI. That was all digital.
Really? Because I was going to ask you how you stamped that thing.
So
it looked good.
In my store, we actually have a gumball machine. We got one about 2 years ago. Customer donated. So the point of the story is, we looked everywhere online in the city to find black gumballs to put in the machine. Dude, they're like 10 times the price of every other color of gumballs. So if you come to my real store, it's a blue gumball gets you a free movie.
Do you draw a little happy face on it, or what do you do?
I want the kids to be able to eat it. That'd probably be, I remember that for next. I'm sure there's some like non-toxic shit I can draw on it.
Fuck it, if it's
but
toxic,
yeah,
whatever.
I mean, the black gumball was
from the 90s. Everything we ate was toxic.
Of course, man. Everything we did was toxic.
We're drinking from a super soaker, just being like.
But yeah, no, the black. I'm glad. Like again, of a certain age, like you said, the black gumball means something to people. And like you asked me earlier, like what I hope people get out of this movie. The reason I think this movie is a kind of a universal theme. People in other countries can see our movie. But everybody fucking had video stores worldwide. It doesn't matter if you're from Japan, Russia, fucking Germany, wherever. The video stores are everywhere. Like you said, they were in gas stations. That's where I remember video stores. Like, it'd be like a hardware store, whatever. Like they were there. In fact, I try to stay off social media, but like apparently our movie is streaming in Japan, and I hit the translate button. But dudes in Japan are loving our movie, which is cool. But again, it just shows that it has nothing to do with the movie itself. It has to do with most of them are saying fucking nostalgia, man. It's hitting them. It's hitting them in the heart for video
and
store
that's the thing
culture.
too, is like there's video stores in Japan. They had a video store culture too.
Absolutely,
it's not like a North American thing. I mean, videos, VHS movies, they went everywhere. But what happened to laser discs? What the fuck? That was like the slowest, like the weirdest transition, like a movie the size of a vinyl. Like I remember the first time I saw a laser disc, I was like, oh cool, Mars Attacks on vinyl. And I like took it, I'm like, this is a laser disc.
We rented one in like New Year's of 1989 or
it would have been late 80s.
You had to rent the machine?
You rent the machine.
Yeah.
We did it once, and it was a crazy thing. Nobody could afford them. That's why.
That was it.
And the discs were extremely fragile.
Yep.
Like
and there was like
scratch
4 discs for one movie. Like you had to keep flipping them.
I think
that's
was like
crazy.
Half an hour, 40 minutes.
And someone invented the CD and it just like scrapped the whole industry.
We're talking the average price of a Laserdisc movie, and this is early 90s money, would be about $60 to $70 a movie. Now, with inflation, you're looking at what, about $200 today? It's funny, whenever I post a picture in the 80s, if you wanted to buy a VHS tape, like I think Tim Burton's Batman was the first one to actually go for sell-through, like $24.95. Before that, dude, if you wanted to buy a VHS tape, you're talking $89.95, and that was a good deal. And remember, that's 1986 money.
$8.99 or 89 bucks?
$89.95 a movie.
For a VHS tape.
That's exactly what they went to. Yep.
When they first came out?
Yeah, that's why only video stores had them.
Yeah.
But again, keep in mind, that's $90 40 years ago. So you're looking at about $300-$400 today.
I guess that's why they were renting them.
Exactly.
Weird.
Well, dude, that's why
now, it
goes back to like the first VCRs. Like I said, when my old man got one, I mean, it was a choice between a VCR or a new car for the family. That's how expensive those things were.
$600 or $700.
And that's like that whole Cold War keeping up with the Joneses. Like, we got to get a VCR.
Gotta get one. But let's choose wisely. Do we go VHS or Beta?
Yeah. Betamax. That was another one.
Beta. They got the better picture quality. And do you know why VHS beat out Beta? Do you know why?
The smell.
Close.
Really?
The porn industry.
Oh.
I guess that's what relates to
They
smell.
decided on that format, and that's what set it.
Yep.
VHS. So porn, once again, tips the scales.
Yeah, it did. You know why? Because VHS, even though Beta, the picture was like cleaner, VHS could hold more. It was like you get up to 8 hours.
Mean, look at what porn's done for internet media. I guarantee half the time people are glued to their phones. It's like porn is the driving force.
Do you know why Blu-ray beat out HD DVD back in the day? The porn industry.
Yeah. See?
There you go.
Yeah.
It's amazing. They get a lot. They don't get the love they deserve for like how much power they actually
people
hold.
stopped poaching their eggs and started scrambling them.
Fuck yes, baby.
Porn. So this is the question. I prepped you for this question because I wanted a good answer. I wanted you to think about this question. What is the most bizarre or the funniest customer request that you've ever gotten?
Well, I've had a few, and I thought about it real quick. In the store itself, I've had 5 bands do music videos. The last one was the band Striker. They did their music video last year in my store.
So the request was, can we do a music video?
Yeah. I've had hip hop bands do videos. I have had wedding photos. The wedding photo one was fucking hilarious because the couple met in my store. So years later, they come in, they're dressed to the nines. It was literally their wedding day. They were all about it, but their grooms and bridesmaids party came in dating. Like, what the fuck are we doing in this dusty basement video store?
Get new friends.
And but the cool thing was the wife that got married. She was a big Freddy Krueger fan, and I think the husband was a Jason Voorhees fan. So I had the idea. I'm like, oh, I got it. You guys sit on the couch, all dressed up. I'll put on Jason versus Freddy, and the minute they're about to fight, we'll pause it, and that's your photo right there, and it shows them fighting and shit. So that was cool.
Nice.
Other weird requests. I mean, obviously, you get the fucking weird ones like, hey Kev, where do you keep your pornos? I'm like, yeah, it's not that kind of store. Although, in fairness, I do have classy 70s adult films.
Yeah,
but
that's why I go there.
Those ones
Tito
were
Brass.
shot on film and played in movie theaters, so that's cinema.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm carrying like double fucking Dirty Ass Bangers volume 28 in my store shot in VHS.
That is a classic, though.
Although that is classic.
I mean, you need to take a tip from what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Porn industry could really help. Like the physical media porn industry could drive your store.
And then obviously you always have, and it hasn't happened in a while, thankfully, but like, you know, the really sketchies that come in, like they do the shady eyes. They're like, hey man, do you carry snuff films? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm totally carrying illegal murder for real on physical media in my store because that's how you keep a business going.
Get out of here,
Like,
FBI
get out of
agents.
here,
Go.
fucking weirdo. Like it, but no, I mean, you get all walks
Faces
of life.
of Death. It's
I
fun.
remember. Do you guys
I
remember?
rented that from a video store. That
Well,
was on
Face of Death.
124th
It's funny you
Street.
mentioned Face of Death. I just wrote the box in for a customer today. But
So that was not a real snuff film?
No.
Oh my
All that-
God, I
all
like
that
that.
footage.
It traumatized the shit out of
Do
me.
you guys remember who was that dude in St. Albert that killed? It was like a Dexter inspired kill in 2006. Mark, whatever. It was all like,
Yeah.
this guy wannabe filmmaker, and he led some dude
yeah, he
into his
lured that
garage.
I
dude to
do
his
remember
garage and
hearing about
Yeah,
this.
yeah. He dismembered him and shit. Anyways, the year that happened, I think I've been open for like a year or two. Some woman came into my store, and apparently this guy may have one time walked in my store to grab a movie earlier that year. Like, I don't fucking know, right? Anyways, she just fucking berated me. She's like, you're the reason. This is going back to fucking like satanic panic bullshit.
Settle down,
Whether
Reagan.
it's the movies, the video
Yeah.
games, the magazines.
It's
It's all
Nancy
the
Reagan
same,
all over
right?
again.
Man, I'm like, man, if that dude was going to kill somebody, he already had it set in his mind. It had nothing to do with going to a video store and renting a movie. So that was weird. That was a very
that is
weird
really weird.
encounter, dude.
That's like your like Magnum PI CSI kind of moment, right?
You know what was the most real thing was
Tell me what you rented him. Tell me what you rented him.
Henry Rollins hanging out in my store for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
You're like, you have to leave, Henry. I can't listen to this
It
anymore.
was so surreal because I'm sure you guys know all about Rollins. He's a guy that just soaks up information. The guy has to read 5 books. He was a guest of ours at the film festival. You want to see the video store?
Yeah.
And of all the days, it was the slowest day ever. Not a single customer came in, and it was so funny because obviously I wasn't going to post it, guys. Henry Rollins is at my store. You should come down, or else it would have been like stupid and shit. But he was like totally like soaking in the store, and he was like, oh blah blah blah. And like, he was just like every title he saw, he had a story, which is like I'm like, I love you, Henry Rollins.
Yeah.
I had one buddy show, my buddy Rod. He comes in, he was like, hey, Kev, hey, Rod. And he looks at the new movie wall, and he just like the old double take. And like he totally lost his inside voice. He's like, holy shit, is that Henry Rollins? Like 5 feet in front of him, you know?
Henry Rollins like eye roll.
Yeah, and I think Rollins is like, yep, guilty as charged. And he's just like, nice to meet you, Mr. Rollins. And my buddy Rob was pretty shy, so he didn't want to bug Henry Rollins. I'm like, because my store is pretty small, like there's no private
The biggest
conversations.
Henry Rollins video that circulates is like Henry Rollins, he's in like a record store and somebody starts yelling like, get in the van, man. And Rollins is like, here we go. And then like kind of is a little bit fed up with the whole fame kind of thing. Cause I think he's like touring around a woman from another country and he's talking about like all the struggles she's had and stuff like that. And he just doesn't want to talk to a fan at that point.
Yeah.
But it's sad when like you're a celebrity who's done millions of shit your whole life. And that's the video that like everybody sees of you. It's just like, whatever. But yeah.
You never know what you're going to be known for, right?
So know that, Kev, you got to be like on your A game all the time.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
People were like, Kev, get with the movie and shit. Like I had some buddies like, how does it feel to be like people around the world like know your face and shit? I'm like, I always knew this theory to be true. Yeah, I don't need the fame. I need the money, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather be unknown and have a secure bank account than like, hey, everybody knows you. Cool. My cat still needs to be fed though, man. Like, so I gotta
Cat
work.
needs medication.
And that was the most fucking surreal for your next question was like, you do this whirlwind where we're filming a movie on the other side of the country at my store, and everybody's like, oh man, that must have been crazy. I'm like, yeah. And then I get on a plane, and 24 hours later, I'm behind my real video store desk going, your movies are late. it's like everything is back to normal.
Yeah,
it must
normal,
be like being
yeah.
on tour when you open up for a band, like, and you're like, and then the next day you're back at work.
It's
you're
that, like total
back home.
anticlimax.
It's just like
inhaling the textiles.
You get the ultimate dopamine rush.
Yeah,
and
your life is constantly the day after a party.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, dude, exactly.
I did
right?
this thing and it's over.
And it's funny. I don't know about you, but I find like shit. I really should have appreciated that moment more because it's like a whirlwind kind of thing.
And that's a huge thing. I remember it was right before COVID was about to hit. We had a Whiskey Wagon show. It was St. Patrick's Day show. And like all my friends are there. We hadn't played the show in like 2 years, but I'm like, we're going to do it. I just had a kid. So I'm like, oh, this might be the last time I ever play a show. And I just remember sitting around and looking at everybody in that room and like almost to tears, just being like, soak this shit in. These people all came. This is it, man. This is one of the, like, this is what you lived for. These are the moments. It's like, man, you really just got to appreciate shit when it's happening, man. And that's a hard thing for people to fucking do.
Oh, fuck yeah, man. Like I said,
So a lot of times you're scared to death of what you're doing. So you're put my head back out of it.
Like I said earlier, if I could do it over again, I wish, honestly, I wouldn't have been like as fucking drunk as I was during our premiere here in Edmonton because
my fucking life story.
Like everybody that I've grown up with in the city in the last 20 years as a White F community all packed in one theater to see our movie. I mean, I still appreciate it, but I was pretty fucking emotionally messed up. Damn you, Jägermeister! But
you're still drinking that?
Fuck, I'm German, baby. What else would I be drinking?
It's like 10 years ago Jägermeister went out.
Dude, it never goes out. Just never mix that shit with Red Bull or else we can't be friends. Anybody that gets a Jäger bomb these days, like, get the fuck out. Like,
I still live those old days. I'm still like, let's do it.
I know.
I recommend those shots, and kids these days are like, what the hell is this stuff? I'm like,
56 herbs and spices of happiness in a 1 ounce shot glass.
Yeah, it's
a
good.
thing that'll hopefully, look, I'm never going to live a long life being a healthy guy. I hope I have like the Harry Dean Stanton gene. And if you know what that means, 91 years old, chain smoker, whiskey drinker. He had a good life.
Like a Keith Richards kind of thing.
I think Keith's kind of Harry Dean was the real deal.
I
was going to say Lemmy, but damn it, 69. 69 still too young for Lemmy.
69.
There it was.
He did it.
There it was.
So, does the last question here? Does the lobby have a tagline or a catchphrase?
I mean, obviously,
Return your movies.
Yeah.
Be kind.
Your
rewind.
movies are late. Obviously, I named the store the lobby because I remember. I think most of us do back in the day. Those driving the intermission commercials, the popcorn and the soda guys, right? Let's all go to the lobby, and. What the fuck was the tagline? I think we used it in the movie. It's the place to be. No, it's the place to be for the movies you need to see. And it was said like Matt Berry style from What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
But tagline, no. But you know what? I did think about. By the way, aside from the movie, there's been a documentary crew following me around for about a decade now.
Are they official or is your neighbor just weird?
No, it's a award-winning documentary. His name is Freddie Krocek. Him and his wife, they've gotten bajillion grants. They've won so many awards here in Alberta filming docs. And he wanted to film a documentary. He keeps getting grants. So I'm like, dude, my life's not that fucking exciting. Like,
but it's the only way I can pay my mortgage.
So they flew to Hamilton when he shot. They were down in Texas and shit. They were at the premiere in Edmonton. I'm like, okay, it's definitely ending. This will be the end of the documentary, the Edmonton premiere. They're still fucking filming me.
So wait.
They're probably pissed off that I didn't invite him here tonight.
Really?
Oh, guarantee you.
So
Like,
you not only made a movie, but you have a guy following you with
and
a camera.
A team.
Gee,
Yeah. So
the people around
obviously-
you must just be like, who is this guy?
Thank you, right? And nobody. That's you know what I am. I'm an alcoholic DJ that has a video store that tries to make sure his cat's still healthy.
You're a DJ? I didn't even know that.
Sorry, no, never. Actually, no, that's disrespect for DJs. I'm a drunk guy that hits play on fucking
There you
music.
go,
And
yeah.
like, I love that fucking song. I'll play it for you.
DJ Terror.
Although, so I joke with them. They must have like 600 hours of footage. I'm like, good luck editing that in a fucking 80-minute doc and like have a happy or weird ending. They're going to follow me till I die. But that was the big joke.
Yeah, this guy is scamming the government to get money to just
Dude,
pay for this shit.
Get your cash.
How's he get grants and you made a movie? So he got a grant to do a documentary, watched you make a movie with like, I guess you got some money for it, but yeah.
I got
Yeah.
paid for the movie, you know, like,
Yeah.
but like, and it was the most money I made in 3 weeks of my life. Not that it was much. I'm like, shit, do all actors? Like,
You don't feed this man, do you?
No.
Okay, there you go.
But I will say, so the big joke was I thought the documentary was going to come at the same time. So if the movie I said, well, the movie's going to be a comedy and the documentary is going to be a fucking tragedy. So like, because he's been following me, like, you know, calling bingo numbers at the bar. That's what I do. Everyone else. So call punk rock. Like, I'm a 48-year-old man and I'm still going under the O number 69. Woo! You know, but it pays the fucking bills, right?
Just a lot of like black and white scenes of you smoking
There
outside the
is
bar.
a lot of black and white scenes of me smoking and staring off into the set going, what have I done with my life?
That's
Dear
fucking
Lord.
great.
But no, the one thing I was going to say, though, I don't know about a catchphrase, but if I ever wrote a autobiography book, I would name the book Late Fees and Jaeger. That would be the name of
Nice.
my book, yeah. The story of a functional alcoholic who refuses to grow up. So
There you go.
Because the weird thing is, you got a kid. See, the thing is, I keep forgetting. Like, I'm 48. I keep forgetting how old I am because I never had kids, right? Because I find if you have
They
kids,
put a real timestamp on
I
your
thought
life,
about
yeah.
it. Shit, man. Like, if I would have had a kid, like, I think the average dude, you know, in a healthy relationship, you have a kid in your mid-20s, we'll say, if you want to have a family. And I'm thinking, shit, if I wouldn't have, my kid would have been graduating university this year or some shit. I could be a granddad this year.
Yeah.
But because I've never had kids, I'm in complete and utter denial of
Yeah.
how old I am.
It's once you have to start watching like Bluey and Cocomelon and stuff, then it really sets in. You're like, this is what's going to age me.
I don't even know what that is.
There you go. You're lucky.
Is it
television.
animation or is it like a Teletubbies thing, like a Barney thing?
It's really hard to whack off to.
Gotcha. So it's
All right, with that, we're going to end. That is the Midnight Tonight Show.
I know what I'm researching tonight. Is it that hard to whack off to? We'll find out after these messages. All right.
We'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much for watching the Midnight Tonight Show. If you stayed through the whole thing, man, that last joke was fucking awful. Either way, we're so happy to have you guys watching. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, and all that other shit these YouTube influencers say. I'm not an influencer, I don't know. Either way, we're happy that you watched. We're happy for your support, and we'll see you on the next one.